I love that.
Oh,
That's so
what's
awesome.
this little? Let me see if it's working. Come on. Oh, oh, there we are. We're here. We've made it.
Nice.
We've made it.
Nice.
We'll let a few more people hop in the stream.
Welcome, everyone.
What's going on?
I gotta mute you.
What's up, Steve? Lucas, should I pick up Hoffman? I mean, if Hoffman's available, you should definitely pick him up.
Wolf, my boys in the chat. Yeah, I think Hoffman's a really good play on St. Louis.
What's up, Andy? Good to see you here again.
So, Mike, I heard your least favorite player last night was Connor McDavid.
Should I trade Besser for Bjorkstrand? I would probably keep Besser, to be honest. I just like that he's on that nice power play and Pedersen's sick. What's up, Nick? Yeah, I'm going to have a stream hopefully on Sunday, I'm thinking. And you guys can feel free to ask me, pick my brain a bit for this NHL season. I'm going to recap week 1 and everything and any players you should trade for. That'll all be on Sunday this week. Pretty pumped up for that. You guys see my boy John Leonard, 2 assists last night? Clarky, did you see that?
Oh, I did. Dude, he actually looked pretty good out there, man. Especially if he's getting top 6 minutes. Like you were bang on the nail with that one.
Yeah, I was hyping him up. And Rasmus Anderson too. 25 minutes last night. Yeah, so many people are so high on Capo Caco. I don't know. I'm still a question mark, but we still haven't seen the Rangers against a non-defensive team. So,
dude, they looked bad last night. I was watching some of the highlights. They just couldn't get anything going.
Yeah. Yeah, the Islanders just play such a different style of hockey than every other team. It's crazy. And they've had so much success doing it too.
Yeah.
I'm also not wearing a jersey today, sorry.
I got the Matthews one on, the St. Pat's, just because I feel like it's going to be a big night for him tonight.
Yeah, fair enough. We have him projected pretty well. Not jumbo, though.
No, never jumbo, dude.
All right, we'll wait a couple minutes. How'd you do last night in DraftKings?
I did pretty well. It started off really bad. Like I was struggling because there was a lot of goals from like the Islanders game, and I didn't have a lot of them. But then, honestly, McDavid saved me at the end, if I'm honest. And then I think Vegas 3 got a full line goal, and they were all like 3%. They were like 3%, but then like Roy was like 0.63 or something. So I guess I was the only one to take the full line stack, and it put me in a spot where I was like breaking even on the night, which I was happy about, just because things didn't go my way off the start.
I felt like I was in first. I had 2 lineups in first at one point until McDavid scored 3 goals. So I was doing really, really well. With the Islanders stack was like 1% owned, which was pretty crazy, but did well. Had Barzell, Lee, and Caps players. Cheap defense, no Connor. Yeah. I mean, the Islanders won where no one took them last night, and they were super good. I think one thing I noticed yesterday was no one was stacking lines up, which is like the best way to win, like DraftKings, is just to correlate your players. And like a good example was that Cap's first line, Oshie was 3%, Backstrom was 7%, and then Ovi was 16%. Like that made no sense. So definitely a lot of an advantage if you're stacking your lines up. You'll hit one night.
Yeah, Calgary was pretty under-owned too from what we saw, right? Which is surprising because I know they had like a bad start to last season, but they're a pretty talented lineup.
Yeah, they projected really, really well for us too. I think I had my best lineup was a power play stack with Kane and Hurdle, and it didn't even hit. Like it's crazy because you don't have McDavid with 3 goals and assist and 9 shots, and then Nuge with 2 goals and assist and 8 shots. So I mean, if you don't have them in your lineup, then you weren't doing too well last night. Crazy.
Yeah.
All right. We got 13 in here. Picked up Lee from the Islanders. Think he'll keep it up? Well, I mean, he's on the first line with Barzal, so yeah, he'll be fine. And he plays on the power play too. Lee, like, he loves to shoot, which is a good thing. My stream's lagging a bit on my laptop. Are you getting lag at all?
I'm seeing some bufferage right now, but
I wonder if I can lower the latency to stop the.
I don't think you can do it. I don't think you can do it well, like once you've started streaming. Definitely start Carter Hart Wolf.
Yeah, it's buffering a bit right now. I don't like it.
All right, you're good now.
It's good for you?
Yeah, everything's clear.
Okay. All right, we'll get started then. So first game of the night, Leafs and Senators. This is going to be a fun one. 6.5 implied total. We'll start over at the Leafs side. So obviously the first line is going to project really well. They're one of our best stacks tonight. It's hard to get away from Matthews in his high shot total, power play 1. Keefe's playing that line a ton. I think Thornton saw over 18 minutes last night. Matthews and Marner both over 25 minutes, so they're going to project really well. I think they're going to be pretty chalky tonight. The only thing that would probably lower their ownership is just that Matthews didn't have the 25-point performance we saw the other day, but they're going to be a really good stack tonight, probably beyond them. I like the second line as well. They're usually under-owned in comparison to the first line, so they're going to be solid. Willie Nylander, under 6K tonight, had a great game last game. He's definitely showing signs of why he should be getting paid for that contract. Third line, I'm not too excited about. They just don't play enough minutes for me, but I mean, they're going up against the Senators' depth lines who aren't very good, so I think you can definitely take the line 3 if you're looking for a cheap filler stack. And then looking over at the defense, it seems like all of Toronto's players dropped significantly in price. Riley was up at 5,600 last night, or 2 nights ago. Muzzin was over 5K. So, I mean, they're projecting really well for us. Muzzin is definitely a good pick at 4,300, high shot, high block total, and he plays a lot of minutes. And then Riley's going to man that top power play. We saw him score late, or he scored in the OT, I think, OT winner. So he ended up getting that 10 points. But, yeah, Leafs look good tonight. Freddie looks good. I would pair Freddie with your Leaf stacks, and I don't think you can go wrong here.
Yeah, I think you summed it all up pretty well. Just on the third line, I think Hyman's price is still a little bit high. Just to take that line, you're not going to see a lot of production out of that line compared to the first two lines. But like you said, it could be a good filler stack just because they're going up against the Sens, right? Matthews, I think, is going to have a much better game. You saw a little bit of frustration against the Habs there, and I think that elite players don't like not playing at elite levels, as you saw with McDavid last night. He went on an absolute tear against Vancouver, so look for a bounce back from Matthews there. And then, yeah, if they continue to split that power play, I think it's still pays dividends to take the second line just because of the ownership. Really like Riley tonight as well. I think he played well the last game.
Lots of minutes.
And then, yeah, Hull at 2,600 is even kind of cheap if you need somebody that blocks a little bit. I'm not sure how his shot volume is, but he does get quite a couple blocks. And then, yeah, Freddie 8,300. It's just the matchup against the Sens.
Yep. Yeah, I think we saw Riley over 28 minutes last night, and Hull played about 22. So I'm in price there. He's not bad. Yeah, so another thing with the Leafs is be careful with your Joe Thornton stacks. Like, I know he's cheap and he's playing on the top line, but he was owned a lot last night or 2 nights ago for being someone that doesn't really have a high floor just because he doesn't shoot enough. So just be careful with your Joe Thornton stacks. Like, it wouldn't be bad to go Matthews, Marner, and then Tavares, Nylander. I think that's something you can look at doing to get different from the field. But let's hop over to the Senators here. I really like the Senators' first line tonight. I really like Brady. I just wish he was a little bit cheaper, but they should see a ton of minutes tonight. They're really cheap. They don't project too well, but you got to keep in mind that we don't have set projections for Batherson or Norris. It's kind of hard to project players that have yet to play in the NHL, but I still think they're good players. Norris had 31 goals last year in the AHL. He's a highly touted prospect for the Senators, hence why they have him on the first line. If you can get the power play for me quickly, but I think Norris is on the first power play unit, so I think the first line is going to be pretty good for the Senators tonight. I can't see them getting too much ownership, just because of some of the big names on the slate tonight, but they should be pretty good. Line 2, I don't mind. I think we have Dadonov a little over projected here, just because his Florida stats are taken into account into our projection system. But line 2 looks good. I mean, I can see Stützle getting a lot of ownership tonight just because of the name. I'm not too sure about Lafreniere's ownership last night. I don't know if you took him, but I didn't take him. But we saw Kaprizov at like 8-9%, and he paid off. So third line, I'm not touching. They're owned way too much. I think Toronto's third line's going to walk all over them, if anything. Shabbat, can't go wrong. Plays a bunch of minutes. He's under 6K, top power play. If anyone's going to get points on defense for the Senators here, it's going to be Shabbat, so I like him. And then Matt Murray's an interesting play. I think if you're going Senators, it doesn't hurt to take Murray because the Leafs do shoot a bunch. So, if you want to pull up the power play lines quickly for me here, just to see, is Norris on the top power play unit?
Norris is on the top power play unit. It's him with Kachuk, Dodonov, Batherson, and Shabbat. So I definitely think you're on with the first line. Like you can never go wrong taking Brady. Like even though he's priced up at 6,600, he shoots just so much and is so valuable in tight. He gets so many high danger scoring chances, which is really a key stat that we like to look at. So I really like the Senators line as well, even though like the Leafs, as you can see, just look better on paper. A lot of the time you'll see them like have a slow start or something, and teams like you saw Montreal would just like kind of run over them to begin with. But I definitely agree with the line to take as well. I think Stützle's going to get a lot of ownership, like you said, just because of the name. But that's a very cheap line, and again, it wouldn't be bad taking that as like a filler stack.
Yep.
Maybe even if you're trying to like just do like a 2-2-2 type thing, and like that's a really cheap option there for you as well. And then if you're taking any Senators at all, definitely pair them with Shabbat. This guy plays a ton of minutes, and he has a pretty good shot volume as well. He's going to see power play one time. So
Yep.
Matt Murray also will probably see a lot of shots, like any team that plays the Leafs. But again, you just got to be careful. The Leafs can explode sometimes, but I think Matt Murray's proven he's a very competent goalie.
Yeah. I think the Senators are a pretty big question mark this year. We don't know too much about some of these players. A lot of highly touted prospects and guys we've seen in World Juniors, but who knows how they'll play in the NHL. It'll be interesting tonight. I think it'll be a fun game. Well, there's gonna be a lot of people watching it. All right, so we'll move on here. So we got the big rivalry, the Pennsylvania rivalry here with the Flyers and the Penguins. It's kind of a shootout last game, 9 goals. Flyers won 6-3. The first 2 goals were shot from the point tips. One hit off Patrick's leg. So a couple fluke goals. Still trusting the Penguins star goaltender over there, but so Flyers won. They're 13K today. They're pretty cheap. Just be careful. I know the Flyers like to spread their minutes out a ton, and that's what I'm going to talk about for the second line. But I mean, the first line's still really cheap. I'm not too sure about the power play correlation there, but they project pretty well for us. The value's not totally there just because Couturier's projection isn't too high given his price. But yeah, Flyers 1 looks good today. Second line, I mean, we saw Farabee. Oh, you know what? I think the value's wrong here. Is that okay? Yeah, there's the actual value. Okay, a little bit of a mistake here. I'm just gonna fix this up. You guys can watch me do this.
You're good. Yeah, I think Flyers 1 and 2 are definitely solid picks. Even the third line, I thought, played really well, and you saw on the power play, just with like JVR in front of the net, like he's always a threat there. Nolan Patrick is, even at 2,900, is just, the value is very good for him as well. Voracek likes to shoot the puck a lot, so I think Flyers are still a great pick tonight, with especially with Carter Hart in net. You know, he shut the door against the Penguins the last game, so I think Flyers are definitely a good option. If I had to pick a line, I really like line 3 as a filler stack. I don't know where you are with them, but I like how just cheap they are, and they have a little bit of like power play upside.
Yeah, I like the third line more than the second. I'm not too high on the second line. I know a lot of people are going to be asking me about Joel Farabee. I think just the biggest thing with him is to be careful. He only played 14 minutes last game, so it's going to be hard for him to keep up that production when he's only playing 14 minutes. And like I said, with the Flyers, they have a lot of depth, so they like to roll their line. So just be careful there. In terms of D, I like Philip Myers as a punt D. I'm not too high on Provorov. He just doesn't do enough for me, but the minutes are there, so he's not bad to pair if you were to go with the Flyers power play stack. And then I have my little line matching sheet I've been working on here. So we can see that the Couturier line was actually not paired against a set line the entire game. It looks like he played 30% against the Crosby line and 30% against the Tanev line. So I know there was a little bit of a worry with Couturier matching up against Crosby and that being a pretty difficult matchup for both sides, but it seems like they spread it out. And then the Giroux line saw time against Malkin. So that's a little interesting. It looks like Penguins are going to have some tough matchups here against the Flyers. And I like Carter Hart net, as always. He's a stud. But I think we covered the Flyers pretty good here. We'll jump over to the Penguins now. These projections are right, I promise, guys. Pittsburgh 1 looks okay. They project pretty well. It's a hard matchup against that Couturier line. If it does become more than 30%, it's going to be kind of hard for Crosby to match up against him. He is a good shutdown center. If I were to go anywhere, it'd probably be the second line. I think they're going to get a little bit less ownership just because of the prices here, but I don't mind the second line. Third line, I'm not touching. And then for D, Letang's all right. Again, I would probably just pair Letang with your Penguin stacks. I probably wouldn't take Letang as a one-off defenseman. There's better one-off defensemen on this slate tonight. Dumoulin's pretty good at 3,100 first line pairing. He should play on the penalty kill as well, so I'm assuming if the Flyers do get some power plays, he should see some block totals. And then I'm not shying away from Jerry again. I'm going to be on him again. 7,500 is a good price for him. I know you're going to disagree with me, but I'm staying true to my word. I think if we see a little bit more bounces go the Penguins' way, that Jerry's going to have a little bit better of a game. And I could see his ownership being almost nothing tonight, given the 6-goal shootout last game.
Yeah, I definitely think if you learned anything from this matchup, it's that you can never like just completely fade Crosby or Malkin's line. Like they're always going to be dangerous no matter what. Whether or not they get the bounces is definitely something that you kind of have to think is going to even out for the Penguins. But I do like the Crosby line just because like it's Crosby and that power play correlation with Gensel, right? And then Malkin's line I think I like a little bit more just because Brian Rust looks like he's back in the form that he was at the end of the season, and then Jason Zucker's also at a really good price there. I think I probably won't touch the third line at all, and if I do take something like a Penguins power play stack or something, I'm definitely making sure I have Letang there. And then honestly, Tristan Jarry for 7,500, I like that price for him. Like I think the Penguins have just as good as a chance as they did last game at winning. I know the score line didn't really say it, but I think this matchup is a lot closer than the score.
Yeah, I think at one point when I was watching the game, the shots were like 22-12 for the Penguins, and they were down like 2-0 or something.
So you're missing the best value play on this slate, though, Mike. It's Eric Gustafsson at 2,900.
I know we actually don't have his projection here, but we'll see what happens with that. If you guys like the stream and the content so far, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. I think we're gonna be doing this almost every day for you guys, so it just helps us get in the algorithm a little bit better, get some more people in here, more discussion. So if you're liking the content so far, feel free to drop a like. We'll move on to the big game on the slate here, the Blackhawks and the Lightning.
Bloodbath.
Oh, God. Who knows what's going to happen. So this is the first and only time we're going to see Patrick Kane under 7K this year, I think.
Yeah.
But it seems like Blackhawks won project well again. I think they did garner a lot of ownership last game just because of their salary. But we saw Strome, DeBrincat, Kane all play over 18 minutes. So they're going to project well for us just because of that. I think they're a solid play. Let me go over to my line matching quickly. Yeah, so it looked like the Kane line played against the third line for the Lightning, so I'll touch on that once we hop over to the Lightning side, but it's a pretty hard matchup. That line was dominant in the Stanley Cup, so it is a hard matchup for them, but if they do get a couple power plays, I could see them scoring 1 or 2 goals. Line 2, I'm not touching for the Blackhawks. It's pretty sad to see, but Kubalik only played 11.5 minutes last night. Or 2 nights ago, so I can't see myself rostering someone for 4K that plays 11 minutes. And the third line, I'm not even going to talk about them. Just nothing there. Hopping over to the defense, I think Connor Murphy's fine at that price. He does block a lot of shots. He played about 21 minutes. I don't mind Boquist either. I think both of them are just one-off defensemen. And for Keith, the only time I'm taking Keith is if I'm taking the Blackhawks first line or the power play.
Yeah, it's actually it's Boquist on the first power play. So
really?
that even He's with DeBrincat, Kane, and then Andrew Shaw is there as well.
Wow.
So yeah, if you're taking any Blackhawks, it's the same thing. You're taking the first line, and then that's pretty much it. I like Boquist at 2,700. Like that's a punt D to me right there.
Yeah,
Just
power
because
play 1's good.
like if they get power play 1, yeah. So and outside of that, like Malcolm Subban at 7K, I really don't want to touch the Blackhawks against the Lightning, dude, especially after what I saw last game. So it might just be a complete fade for me tonight. I may have like 1 or 2 stacks of like Boquist just for salary purposes, but outside of that, I don't think I'm touching anybody else.
All right. So for the Lightning, you can see the first line's priced up accordingly given the matchup. I mean, you can't really go wrong taking this first line here. They're going to be in the offensive zone the entire time. And from what we're seeing, it looks like the third line on the Lightning's matching up against the first line. I actually have Tampa's matchups here. So it looks like the Palat line was going against Camp, Carpenter, and Highmore. So you can just take a look at those player names and compare them to the Lightning, and you can just see the difference in that matchup. So first line is going to be the most owned line, and for a good reason. They're going to be solid tonight, so you definitely can't go wrong taking them. I also like the second line. They project really well. They're super priced down. Kaloran's on the first power play too, so you can easily stack them with the Lightning top line if you needed to. Looks like the Sorelli line was playing against Wallmark, Janmark, and Shaw, so the third line. And that's just another brutal matchup for the Blackhawks. I think the Lightning are going to walk all over them. And then the third line, so this is kind of what I want to touch on a little bit here. So it looks like the third line is going to be matched against the Blackhawks first line, and you can see the expected goals against for the first line on the Blackhawks is 2.72, which is one of the highest in the NHL. So the third line is solid tonight. They're extremely cheap. They project well for us. They have a good expected goals, and they should be walking all over this Kane line. So you definitely can't go wrong there. They're really cheap. You can pair them with any line you want. And then for the defensive side, I think Hedman's a solid one-off and a solid defense to pair with your Lightning stacks. Can't really go wrong with Hedman. All their D really project well. Sergachev's a little expensive. I don't know how I feel about taking a 4,800 defenseman that plays 20 minutes and not on the power play. But I really like McDonough. He played 25 minutes last night. So McDonough's a solid pick here at 3,500. And then obviously Vaz is going to be the most expensive goalie in this brutal matchup for the Lightning. So, I mean, you can't go wrong taking Vasilevsky tonight at all. I would be surprised actually if he didn't. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't start tonight, just given the matchup.
Yeah, that's interesting, and we'll kind of see how teams want to go about with their goalie rotation, especially like when there's going to be like a lot of back-to-back games and a lot of like 3 games in 4 days type deal. So that'll be interesting to see as the season goes on. But again, you can't go wrong with Vass. I like Hedman, even though he's priced up at 6,900. He saw a lot of time on ice last game against the Blackhawks, even though you probably didn't even need to be there in the first place.
Not at all.
But yeah, you can take any Tampa line and you have a safe bet of doing well. I think the second and third lines are good fillers. The second line is really cheap, and line 1 is probably just going to be the chalk tonight. But again, like it's good chalk, and it's to be expected. Yeah.
All right. So we'll move on here. Go to the Caps and the Sabres game. This was a fun game to watch yesterday, actually. I know you guys have heard me talk about how much I like Samsonov, but I still think he's solid this year. So Caps won. So what we saw yesterday is no one was stacking them up. Excuse me. We saw Ovi at about 17%, Backstrom at 7%, and then Oshie at 3%. So if people aren't stacking these lines, like you're fine taking the Capitals first line. I think they're solid. They're really good on the penalty kill, on the power play. You saw last night the power play was in the Sabres zone the entire time. So they project really well for us. They're definitely a solid stack. If the ownership is what it was like yesterday with the full line not getting like the same ownership, I think you're fine. Second line, I don't mind. I know other people really like the second line here for the Capitals, and they are going against the Sabres' depth. But again, I'm not too high on them, to be honest. I'm not a big fan of Kuznetsov. He doesn't have high shot volume at all. He gets a lot of assists, not goals, and it's hard for me to pay up $6K for him. Third line, they're not the worst filler line. Going against the Sabres' depth and their third and fourth line, Lars Eller is one of the best third line centers in the game, so you're fine going there. I like John Carlson. He scored last game. It was probably one of the easiest goals I've ever watched, but I think you're fine taking Carlson with that Capitals top line. And we actually don't have Samsonov's stuff updated here right now, but I mean, if you're going with the Capitals, you're fine going with Samsonov if he's starting. I'm assuming he is.
Yeah, it'll be curious to see if he starts, right? Because it's a back-to-back, and
Yeah.
their backup goalie is like, I don't even know who their backup is, if I'm 100% honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Caps, if they start their backup, it kind of just puts me a little bit more confident in the Sabres first line, which we'll get to in a second. But it's hard for me to take the Caps second line when you have line one with Ovechkin and it's full power play correlation, right? And then with Kuznetsov priced at 6K, like I get he's a good player and everything, but it's kind of hard to justify that price, especially like when you don't see the same shot volume as you would like Ovechkin. And then definitely John Carlson is one of the higher priced D on the slate tonight, as to be expected. I think he's just going to see a lot of opportunity to put points up, whether it's like on the power play or just at 5-on-5 in general. The guy just has an offensive knack that a lot of other D don't possess. So
Yep.
for 6,800, I think he's a good play. I'd even consider doing like him as a one-off against the Sabres, especially. But I think if I'm going anywhere with Caps tonight, it's the first line. The third line, like you said, is a pretty good filler, and I like them against the Sabres third line. But I think there's other better filler lines to go to tonight. So
Tampa
I
3,
think I'm just
baby.
going, yeah, I think I'm just going Caps 1 tonight
Yeah.
with some Carlson.
Fair enough. All right, so I'll hop over to the Sabres side. I like the Sabres one. We saw some success with them last game on the power play. Hall looked good last game. You can't really go wrong taking Hall and Eichel. They just have such high shot volume. I think Tage Thompson played about 18 minutes last game, or I might be wrong actually. Could we get a minutes check on Tage Thompson here? But I think Tage is fine to take in your Sabre stacks. We're just going to get a little bit of confirmation to see if he was playing with them the whole time. But the second line, it looks like Eric Stahl is a game time decision, but he's really cheap. This line's very cheap for the production. I think Olofsson and Reinhardt are both in the top power play unit as well, so you get the double correlation there, and both of them under 5K. So I don't mind taking the second line. I think the Caps are not the best defensively, so hopefully that Sabre second line can take advantage of that. And then I'm just going to skim over the third line. There's not much I'm taking here. Maybe Cousins as a one-off. But so on defense, the most interesting thing I saw last game was that Rasmus Dahlin, he played 26 minutes at 4,100 top power play. So he's not going to give you the shot volume that you're looking for, but he's manning that top power play unit. He's playing 26 minutes a night. So if the Sabres are scoring and if any defense is going to get points on it, it's going to be Dahlin. So definitely can't go wrong taking Dahlin tonight. I think he's a solid play. And in Allmark, he's okay. I would probably only take Allmark if you want to get a little bit more contrarian in your lineups. I would take Allmark with your Sabre stacks. But other than that, he's definitely not a one-off goalie that I'm interested in tonight.
Yeah, so Thompson played 17 minutes last night,
That's
and
good.
he was with the first line for the entire duration of the game.
That's good.
I would be a lot higher on Buffalo 1 if you saw somebody like Olofsson or Reinhardt there, just to get like that full power play 1 correlation. But like Eichel and Hall are very solid, and Thompson does nothing but bring the price of the line down, as well as add like differentiation in the sense that he's not going to be as highly owned as Hall and Eichel, especially if you see a lot of people taking just Eichel as a one-off or Hall and Eichel in like a 2-2-2 or something, right? So I definitely like the first line. I think the Caps showed that they have some holes defensively. I wouldn't necessarily call them a bad defensive team, but they do give up scoring chances. So I wouldn't, especially on the power play, right? Like you gotta understand that it's Taylor Hall and Jack Eichel. So I don't think I'm gonna be too high on line 1 tonight. I did take a stack last night, and I was like okay with what I saw out of them, but I'd just be a lot higher on that line if it was like Olofsson or Reinhardt up there. But we'll see. I'm probably not touching the third line unless you're doing something crazy where like you just have a lot of money within like your first like 3 guys on your on your lineup,
Yeah,
and you just need like out the line at all min salary, I probably wouldn't touch them at all. And
no.
then yeah, Dahlin is the only D that I'm excited about with the Sabres here, especially if he's getting that much ice.
Yep.
Uh, and I'd probably also shy away from Olmark as well here, just because the Caps are going to find their chances, and it's still a dangerous team.
Yeah. So one thing I want to just talk about with the first line here is I looked at my matchup sheet. It looks like they played against the Ovechkin line majority of the game last game, and from what we have here, the Ovechkin line is very poor defensively. So hopefully we can see more of that Sabres first line 5-on-5, and then maybe a couple power play goals. So I think I'm going to take a little bit more of the Sabres one than I want to tonight, but it's a solid 5-on-5 matchup against that Ovechkin line. So that's good to keep in mind. And we'll move on to the final game tonight, the Blues and the Avalanche, the playoff, the Stanley Cup final matchup here. They're I didn't catch the game actually, but I wish I caught more of it. Whoever was playing DraftKings last night that's in this stream, hopefully you guys took out Hoffman and put in Sundqvist. That was such a good play. He was like 0.6% owned and got 31 points. Pretty crazy. That's like the first time. Last year I can't recall any times where I had to late swap a player that got 30 points at no ownership. I can't recall. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, that's why you guys got to make sure that you're following the Twitter as well, the Fantasy Puck Twitter. We have a lot of guys behind the scenes looking for those updates, those last minute lineup swaps that are gonna win you guys money. So make sure you guys follow the Twitter as well.
Yep. All right, so I'll run through the Blues quickly. The first line's okay. The biggest concern I have is they do play against the McKinnon line, it's just a really, really hard matchup. O'Reilly's focus is literally going to be trying to stop McKinnon from moving up the ice the entire game. So it's just a really hard matchup for them. So I'm not too excited about the Blues first line, but the second line I do like. They're extremely cheap. You see Schwartz is a little bit priced up, but 4,100 Hoffman. Again, we're not going to see this ever again. It's just a crazy misprice. I do like Robert Thomas. I think he's a good fantasy league acquisition. I do think he's a good DraftKings player too. At 3,100, he doesn't shoot a lot, but he does have a high assist upside. Not too excited about the third line. They're not bad, but again, like that's just if you're paying up a lot for your forwards. And then for the defense here, I think Krug's fine if you're going with the power play for the Blues. I think the Blues were third in the league on power play last year. So you're fine to take Krug with your power play stacks. And I don't mind Parayko as a one-off defenseman. He's the guy that'll get you your 5 shots and 3 blocks. He's kind of a beast back there with the Blues. And then Binnington, he was actually one of the better goalies last night too, or 2 nights ago. And I don't mind going back to him tonight again. Just if you're taking the Blues, if you want to correlate Binnington with your Blues stacks in hopes that the Blues have another 4-1 game, I think you're fine going that route.
Yeah, I definitely think when you look at a team like St. Louis, you kind of think defensive first, but they have 2 lines that can definitely put up goals, right? Again, Mike Hoffman at 4,100 is an absolute huge value play, and I think I'm going to be taking the second line as some filler tonight as well. Even the third line too. I think they match up pretty well. I think both lines are pretty even, so it could go either way. But that's a really cheap line as well. And then the first line, like you said, it's going to see a lot of McKinnon, right? So it's going to be difficult for them to be in their own end, especially when you're matched up against McKinnon, Landeskog, and Rantanen. So I don't know how much of line one I'll be taking tonight. I do.
Sorry to cut you off. 72% of the game last game, O'Reilly was against McKinnon. So
wow,
tough matchup.
That's a tough matchup, right? As good as O'Reilly is defensively, like it's hard for them to play at both ends, right? Like you're either trying to defend one of the better players in the world for the majority of your shift, or you're trying to score against one of the better players in the world for the majority of your shift, right? So if you do take some Blues power play, again, you want to have Krug in there. I think I like Parayko at 5,300. Like you said, he does everything you want out of a D, and I think 5,300 is a good price for him. And then Binnington at 7,600, like he's still a good play. He's a good goalie. He's going to see a lot of shots from this Avalanche team, and they're definitely capable of shutting the Avalanche down as dangerous as they look. You saw it last game. So a lot of these teams aren't up to their full potential yet, just because it's started the season and they haven't gone through like an entire preseason, right? So it'll take a while for these big teams to kind of get going.
For sure. Just to answer your question there, Tough Kid, is Rasmus Anderson available in your league? It could be a D to look for. Okay, so for the Avalanche side, it seems like the big three are back together, and this is what I said in the stream 2 days ago, was that I don't know how long Burakovsky's going to be on there. Like, the Avalanche, once they go down goals, they always tend to move Landeskog up. So the first line looks good, as always. There's lines that you can't really defend against, and I think that first line is a line that, no matter how good your defensive players are, I still think that first line is extremely strong offensively. So, Avalanche one always look good. All power play, one correlation too. The second line's not bad. I think Burakovsky's still priced up. He still has the price from like if he were to play with McKinnon. But I do like Kadri for a shot upside, and same thing with Saad. They both like to shoot the puck a lot. So, you can't go wrong with the second line. They're just a little bit expensive. So they're going to be a line you pair with maybe another second line from another team, or a line that has like a cheap forward like Joe Thornton. And then line three, not too much here. I think the Blues' depth is pretty solid, so they're just going to play against the third line here, and it's just going to be a pretty even matchup. So I can't see myself taking too much of the Avalanche three. And then hopping over to the defense, so I just did some research on my phone quickly while you were talking. Looks like Makar played about 24 minutes last game, which is a lot higher than what we saw last season. He was playing about 18 to 21, so it's good to know that Makar is getting a lot of ice time now, and his price dropped from 6K to 5,400. So I do like Makar today, fair amount. He's going to be he's a good one-off defenseman. He likes to shoot the puck, so he's someone you can pair with your Avalanche stack and someone you can one-off for sure. I just looked, and Taze played 22 minutes first pairing, so he's not bad at 4,500. And then Graves is someone that I think is just overhyped. He only played 18 minutes last game. He likes to block, and I get that, but I just can't see myself paying 4,200 for a defenseman that plays only 18 minutes a night. And then I'd like Grubauer. Grubauer is a goalie I was really high on this year, especially. So I do think he has a good chance at winning tonight. The Avalanche are going to have the puck in the offensive zone a lot against the Blues, so don't see anything bad about going Grubauer here.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see the top lineup for the Avalanche back together, and I think a lot of people are going to look at this line and they're going to see how expensive they are, and they're going to see that they got absolutely rolled by the Blues the last game, especially new players, right? Like recency bias is a big thing that we tend to see, and so I'm definitely going to have quite a bit of this line. I think they're solid. They all have power play one correlation. I'm definitely going to throw some Makar in there with them as well, just because of that power play upside. And then line two, I really like just having Kadri on that line. Just makes that line so dominant for me. Like he'll shoot the puck just a ton, and having Brandon Saad now with him is only going to make that line better. Burakovsky, like you said, his price is a little high, but again, like it's a filler line, and it's probably going to be a little bit underowned than you'd see most other second lines on the slate. The third line, like I said, it could go either way between them and the Blues third line. I think they're both solid third lines if you're looking for something cheap and just to like throw in if you're doing like a power play stack, for example. I think that's still a good option there. And then Makar is probably going to be the D that I pair most with my Colorado stacks. Sam Girard also plays power play too, so if you're taking the second line, for example, you're getting Burakovsky and Saad on that second power play, so you could fit Girard in there just for 3,700, but outside of his power play upside, I don't think he really brings too much. And then Graves is a little overpriced. Like he does have a history of blocking a lot, but I think at 4,200 there's better options on the slate.
Absolutely.
And then Grubauer is always solid, right? Like he's a competent goalie, and he plays on a really good Avalanche team. So I think this could be potentially a Colorado explosion, or you could see a really low event game. I think just having that top line back together of Landeskog, McKinnon, Rantanen is going to be a big play tonight
for sure. And I just with Graves, going to Girard, he played 22 minutes last game, so that's actually pretty good. I don't mind that. It's just 3,700. I wouldn't have too much of him.
Yeah, I don't think his peripherals are too great, but he does sometimes, like when Makar, say if Makar's injured or whatever, which hopefully he never gets injured this season, but he will jump up on that first
Yeah.
power play. But if you do take the second line, it's not the worst option to just get a little correlation there.
For sure. All right. So that does it for today. Any questions in the chat? If you guys have any anything you want us to cover? Any questions for season long? Any questions for going about the DraftKings night tonight? Feel free to ask it now. We'll stay on for a little bit longer. If you guys want us to run through any more lines or teams, but thoughts on Blackwood last night? He looked really good, actually. He shut down the Bruins. Even in the shootout, it seemed like he was stopping everyone. Any ML leans? Is that money
Money
line leans? I was looking earlier. I think you can easily just take the Lightning to straight up win against the Blackhawks. James, can I confirm his money line 1.5? I got the big 3 on the Avs. You think they'll put up points? Yep. They're actually one of our highest projected line tonight. Yep. Oh, no, actually, Leafs 1's our highest projected line. But
Dussel's kind of a mystery, especially going up against the Leafs. Like that's a pretty deep team, but you can't go wrong with his price at 2,500. If you're talking about fantasy in general, whether or not to start him, I think that he's definitely a talented player, and if the Sens do get on the power play, I think he has some upside to get some points there.
Toffoli or Gord? Probably Gord. I just think Tampa's super good. Their third line's really good too. James, let me just confirm, okay? I'm not too high into the betting here. So puck line's 1.5, and then money line's just outright win. Is that what it is? But yeah, I think you can't go wrong taking the Lightning tonight against the Blackhawks. It's the easiest one. So
I think like if I were Torts, I think Merzlikins is definitely the go-to guy. Korpisalo showed that he can be good, but I think for me personally, it's Merzlikins.
They're gonna split. They'll be 50-50 this year.
They definitely will split, but if for some reason you had to pick a starter, I feel like it would be Merzlikins. Cool. And then I think Vasilevsky probably has the higher chance of getting the shutout than Carter Hart tonight.
Big time.
The Lightning just absolutely ran over the Blackhawks last game, and it was just a joke.
I would give Vaz like a 70% chance to get a shutout tonight.
If he even starts, right?
What is Nylander's production tonight? I think Nylander's going to be solid tonight. The Leafs should see some chances on the power play. We don't have the matchup projections, but I'm assuming it's going to be first line, second line. So I think Nylander will be solid. Lots of power play opportunity. And then I don't think the Leafs second line will have too much trouble with the Senators second line. So I do like Nylander tonight. And he's under 6K. So it's a good price. Willie. Yeah, let me.
Who's your favorite stack tonight, Mike?
My favorite stack tonight.
Just one line. Single entry, you're taking one line. What are you running?
If I'm doing single entry, I'm definitely starting with Lightning 3, and then I'm probably gonna pair them with Avalanche 1. Would probably be my my favorite line tonight if I were to choose. That's probably what I would go with. But
okay.
You?
Interesting that if I had to pick one line tonight, I'm going Tampa 1. I think just based off of what we saw last game, it's not even really a contention. Like they just absolutely dominate when they're on the ice.
Yeah. What's the Pens question?
The Pens question was Wolf was in my stream yesterday, and we were having some good hockey discussion there, and he was talking about like how long until we see like some regression from Crosby and Malkin.
Man, they looked slow last game. Not gonna lie, I think they still have some gas in the tank, but I think the regression starts this year probably. But really? It does help with the shortened season, though.
It does, yeah.
Killorn or Burakovsky tonight? Probably Killorn. Just the Lightning matchup is so good. Like, there's nothing bad about that matchup. I wouldn't take.
Yeah,
I
second
wouldn't
line,
take
power
down
play
Strome.
one time.
Yeah, Gordy, I was just made a quick line matching sheet here. Actually, it wasn't quick. Took me a little bit, but it looks like the Kane line's matching up against the third line for Tampa, and the third line for Tampa is like a really, really good defensive line. Yeah, it's hard not to go Tampa one tonight.
Yeah, I just think it's just such a mismatch, right? And like I wouldn't be completely off the Blackhawks like just for the rest of the season yet, because we don't know how they match up against other teams. Like that first line could definitely put up points. Like Patrick Kane's on that line, right? But
Yeah,
just against this matchup, I'm completely off them probably.
Gordy, I'm the guy, and then he's the man. Should I pick up Duclair
She's
off
the
waiver
man.
for Sunday? Yeah, I'd pick up Duclair for Sunday. I think we're gonna see Huberdeau. I think they have Verhaeghe, who's from Tampa, on the first line there in Florida. So I think you could see Huberdeau moving up and Duclair staying on that Barkov-Huberdeau line. High on Rasmus Andersson. I couldn't be higher on Rasmus Andersson. If you guys watched my final notes video, he's actually my thumbnail for that. I was raving about Rasmus Andersson moving up to the first line, first power play unit. So he played 25 minutes last night. I think if you need a D to pick up in your fantasy right now, I would probably pick up Anderson. I'm going to have a video out on Saturday, so tomorrow, about your waiver wire pickups, players that are under 50% owned in Yahoo and ESPN that you can pick up on your waiver wires to help your team out. And then I'm thinking of streaming Sunday, maybe 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, somewhere around there, for just you guys can hammer me with any questions you have for your fantasy team, any trades, how you drafted, how your first week went, or anything. Just have some discussion on Sunday. So I'll probably wrap the stream up now. If you guys want any last minute updates or anything, if you have any questions about the lines for tonight or the starting goalies, feel free to follow us on Twitter at @fantasy_puck. We will post the updates there as soon as they come out. If you guys are looking for some different content aside from hockey, if you're looking for some Call of Duty content, head over to Aimless Charlton over on Twitch. He also has a YouTube channel where he's posting content about how to get diamond guns faster. It's pretty helpful. I'm sure some of you in here are Call of Duty players. It's a really fun game. So if you guys have any questions about hockey and you can't reach me, feel free to hop over to his stream if he's streaming and have some discussion. We saw Wolf there last night. So other than that, I appreciate everyone for tuning in today. Feel free to drop a like and subscribe. We'll have some content out for you tomorrow and Sunday. Thanks again, and we'll see you